Hello and welcome back. After choosing Cloud X Soldier as our commander in the last video, today we are going to um, dive through all of the piles of cards we pulled in the previous videos and see what kind of support for this mechanic we have. Obviously, we are looking for equipment, but we're also looking for general buffs to ensure that we can draw cards with Cloud. And then it's always interesting when going through cards in this way to see what kind of sub themes might emerge. Ahead of today's video, I have pre-sorted all of the cards into colors, and I also have a pile with some of the more valuable hits. Again, I don't care much about the value, but I want to make sure that if I have something that has a bit of value, that it's actually getting played. So I always give it a bit of preferential treatment when considering cards. And yeah, so let's get started and see how it goes. So let's pull Cloud here. And let's actually start out with seeing if any of the commanders that we discarded or didn't want to build last time might have support for Cloud. Let's just do a rough sort just to for the right colors. Then we can discuss whether they will actually fit Cloud afterwards. Okay, that was that. Okay, so what do we have in the likely commanders pile that might fit with Cloud? First off, we have Sedan, Tantalus Thief, 3/3 Human Mutant Scout. When Sedan enters, gain control of target creature and opponent controls. Until end of turn, untap it, it gains lifelink and haste until end of turn. And whenever an opponent gains control of a permanent from you, you create a treasure token. It's a beautiful card, which always makes me want to play it, but I don't think the synergy is there, so that goes into the no pile. Then we have Boromir, Warden of the Tower, 2 and a white. Human Soldier, 3/3. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. And then we can sacrifice him. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and the ring tempts you. So Vigilance is nice. We need creatures attacking. He shares 2 types with Cloud, and it can be quite nice to be able to actually prevent anybody from killing Cloud, since he is a fairly expensive commander. So yeah, maybe pile. We have Rose Tyler, 1 and a white for 2/2 human. Rose Tyler gets +1/+1 for each time counter on it. And whenever she attacks, put a time counter. Yeah, no synergy to Cloud there. Dion, Bahamut's Dominant, 3 and a white for 3/3. Human Noble Knight, so it shares 1 creature type. Then Dion and other knights you control have flying. On our turn, unfortunately, Cloud is not a knight. So at least there's no synergy on the front side. Let's look at the back. Put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Those creatures gain flying until end of turn. So the back definitely has some synergy. What was the price again? 3 and a white. It's probably too expensive, but I'm putting it in the maybe pile. I mean, at this point, we don't know if a night sub-theme might emerge. Then we have Van, Street Thief, 2 and a red for a 2/2 human scout. Whenever 1 or more scouts, pirates, and or rogues you control deal combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library, you cast it. If you don't, create a treasure token. And whenever you cast a spell you don't own, put a +1/+1 counter on each scout, pirate, and rogue you control. No support here. Cloud is neither of those subtypes, so that goes out. Legolas Master Archer, Elf Archer, so doesn't share any types. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Legolas Master Archer, put a +1/+1 counter. And actually, equipment coming in and self-attaching to something can trigger this. And whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you don't control, Legolas deals damage equal to its power up to one target creature. I also don't think there's going to be synergy with that. Yeah, so with that out of the way, where should we begin? The red pile, the white pile, green pile, or maybe the colorless pile? I think we should do colorless. We are actually looking for a lot of equipment. And right off the bat, I can see we have Excalibur. That's only one, so that's cheap. And whenever you gain life, put a charge counter on Excalibur. And the creature gets +1/+1 for each charge counter on Excalibur and equips for 3. So we don't have anything that actually gains us life yet, but we want equipment. So let's put it in the maybe pile and see if something emerges. So the world map, 1 for an artifact, pay 1 and tap it to sacrifice it and search for a basic land card that goes into hand. We might be looking for ramp, but I do think that's too expensive. Then we have wizards, rockets, 1 for an artifact, and when it enters the battlefield tapped, and you can pay X and tap it, and you can sacrifice it. Add X mana in any combination of colors. So a little bit of mana fixing, and potentially a little bit of card draw, but I don't think it fits the theme of this deck. Then we have a Barrow Blade, 1 for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, that creature loses all abilities until end of turn. So if the opponent has something with Death Touch on, if they block, it will lose Death Touch. So nice little cheap equipment, definitely in the maybe pile. Then we have Elixir, 1 for an artifact. It enters tapped, and you can exile this artifact to shuffle all non-land cards from your graveyard into your library. You gain life equal to the number of cards shuffled into your library this way. Does cost 5. We had that other equipment that was actually dependent on lifelink, gaining life plus. With all the equipment, there's a chance that an artifact sub-theme will emerge. So let's put it in for now. Lunatic Pandora, 1 for a legendary artifact, and then you can pay 2 to tap it and to surveil 1. Or you can pay 6 and tap it, and then sacrifice it to destroy target non-land permanent. I don't think this will fit this theme specifically, especially because we don't care a lot about stuff in the graveyard. Then we have Mindstone artifact, taps for colorless, and pay 1 and tap it to sacrifice it to draw a card. No, I don't think we necessarily want that. Then we have a artifact vehicle with flying. Whenever this vehicle attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So there could be a bit of card draw. We might care about the artifacts. I'm unsure about this one. By the way, if you can hear a little odd sound in the background, it's my dog that's making noises in his sleep. So don't worry too much about those. Yeah, so would we want a vehicle that can draw us something? It does have flying. It's cheap enough to equip. It has nice art. I'm saying no on this one. Then we have Int Drawed Basin. 2 for an artifact. You can tap it, pay X to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature with power X. Activate only as a sorcery. I think that's too expensive. Mirror of Galadriel will Scryer's cards. So we have a Mirror of Galadriel. Pay 5 and tap it to scry 1, then draw a card. And this ability costs 1 list to activate for each legendary creature you control. Again, fixing your draws, of course, always nice, but I don't think we need it. Instant Ramen also doesn't fit. Poopo UFO, 2, and it has flying. It's an artifact creature, so we can actually equip it. And you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. This could potentially work. We can either use it to ramp, or we can attach equipment to it, and it's an artifact. The last line of text where it cares about towns, probably not going to be relevant. Let's put it in the maybe pile. Adventures Airship. 3 for an 3/2 artifact vehicle. When it attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. No, I don't think we want that. Thought Vessel, 2 for an artifact. You have no maximum hand size. Taps for colorless. Let's put it in the maybe pile, just in case we end up with some kind of thing that can draw us an insane amount of cards. Then we have Cyberman 2. It has Skulk. This creature can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. And whenever Cyberman attacks and isn't blocked, it gets X +0 until end of turn, where X is the number of attacking artifact creatures. So if it was just artifacts, it could be interesting. I think when it's specifically artifact creatures, then I don't think we will have enough to support it. Then we have Sting, Glinting Dagger, 2 for our legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has haste. Very relevant at the beginning of each combat. Untap equipped creature, so pseudo vigilance. And if you have a creature that taps and does something interesting, you get to do it twice, so that's nice. Equipped creature has first strike as long as it's blocking or blocked by a goblin or orc. That's probably not going to be relevant, but yeah, definitely in the maybe pile. Nice. Then we have a talisman, but it's in the wrong colors. We have Cyberman Patrol, 2 for an artifact creature. Artifact creatures you control have Afflict 3. Again, I don't think we'll have enough artifact creatures for this to matter. So let's move it. Then we have TARDIS, artifact vehicle, 2/4 with flying. Whenever it attacks, if you control a Time Lord, the next spell you cast this turn has Cascade and you may Planeswalk. I think it's unlikely that we are going to have any Time Lords. So let's move it aside. Then we have an Inherited Envelope 3. When it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you, and then you can use it to add 1 mana of any color. I think there's a chance that we may have other cards that have the ring tempts you, and it is a bit of mana fixing. Let's put it in the maybe pile, just in case that becomes a thing with the ring tempting us. Then we have Blitzball 3. Add 1 mana of any color, and then we can sacrifice it, draw 2 cards, and we can only activate if an opponent was dealt combat damage by a legendary creature this turn. So I actually think that it's very likely that we will actually get to activate that second ability. So even though it is a tad expensive, I think it deserves to go in the maybe pile. Then we have Lucas Stadium, a reprint of Strixhaven Stadium 3 for an artifact. You can tap to add a colorless and put a point count on this artifact. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, remove a point counter from this artifact. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, put a point counter on this artifact. Then, if it has 10 or more point counters on it, remove them all and that player loses the game. Okay, so tap for colorless and then when we get hit for any amount of damage, it loses a counter. Whenever we hit an opponent, we get a counter. And then if it has 10 or more point counters on it, remove them all and that player loses the game. We're not doing anything to proliferate. On the other hand, we will be attacking a lot. So there's going to be combat damage. Yeah. And you can actually get it to, if we have several creatures attacking different opponents, or even the same opponent, it's whenever a creature. Yeah, let's put it in the maybe pile. Unsure what I think about it. The magic pot will not work with this airship we had. Then we have River Song's Diary 3 for artifact. Whenever a player casts an instance or sorcery spell from their hand, exile it instead of putting it into a graveyard as it resolves. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 or more cards exiled with River Song's Diary, choose one of them at random. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Could be fun, especially if we had something where we care about the number of spells being cast. But since we're not doing that and it's only instant or sorceries, then I think it's a fun card, but not one that fits with what we're trying to do. We have Horn of Gondor, 3 for legendary artifact. Whenever it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier. And Cloud is also a human soldier. And then you can tap it and pay 3 to create X 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, where X is the number of humans you control. Yeah, so we don't know if we're going to have a token sub-theme, but if we do, since this also works with Cloud, it might be interesting. So let's put it in the maybe pile for now. Then we have the Warring Triad, 3 for 5/5 legendary artifact creature god with flying, trample, and haste. As long as there are fewer than 8 cards in your graveyard, the Warring Triad isn't a creature, and then you can tap it to mill a card, and target player adds 1 mana of any color. So it is a bit of ramp at the same price as some of the other ramp we've had. And then how frequently, what's the likelihood that we can actually get to swing with this? It's just 8 cards, so it's any card in the graveyard. So it is likely that we will get to swing with it. Goes into the maybe pile. Then we have the Masamune, 3 for legendary artifact equipment. As long as equipped creature is attacking, it has first strike and must be blocked if able. Equipped creature has, if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of this creature or an emblem you own to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Equipped for 2. So far we haven't had any creature abilities that triggers on dying, but it is an equipment, and who knows if one will come up. So let's put it in the maybe pile. Ring of Lucy, 4 to then you can tap it to add 2 colorless, and you can pay 2 and tap it and pay 1 life, tap target non-land permanent. I don't think that fits into what we're trying to do. Solemn Simulacrum 4, and then when it enters the battlefield, we search for a basic land card. And when it dies, we draw a card. I don't think we will be bouncing a lot. Then we have Lionheart artifact equipment for 4, so an expensive one. And when it enters, deals 2 damage to any target. Equipped creature gets +2/+1, and we can equip it for 2. Not the best equipment, but we want equipment, so maybe pile. The Regalia, it's a very nice card. I do like it, and the ability. It has haste, and whenever it attacks, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. No real synergy with what we're doing. It does have haste, so we can swing with it immediately, but it's also expensive enough that we probably won't be attaching equipment to it the turn it comes in, so I do not think it fits. Then we have Heroes Podium, 5 for legendary artifact. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other legendary creature you control. And then we can pay X and tap it. Look at the top X cards of your library. You may reveal a legendary creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So end of turn, if we have a bit of mana left over, you can always use it to potentially be lucky and kinda draw a card. It is expensive. I wonder how many legendary creatures we are going to be playing, so let's put it in the maybe pile. Ultima, Origin of Oblivion, 5 for 4/4, legendary creature god with flying. Whenever Ultima attacks, put a blight counter on target land. For as long as that land has a blight counter on it, it loses all land types and abilities and has tap to add colorless. And whenever you tap a land for colorless, add an additional colorless. Yeah, doesn't fit. I don't think we'll be playing that much colorless. So, good beginning. We have a little bit of a maybe pile building up. I think what we should do next is actually look at some of our more expensive pulls. Because as I said, I want to give them a bit of preferential treatment in terms of whether we want to play them or not. Right off the bat, we have this very, very nice foil Buster Sword artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+2, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to that damage without paying its mana cost, and it equips for 2. So we like card draw. It synergizes with everything. It makes Cloud gives him a total of 7 power, so that his second ability will trigger. So I'm going to say that's a card we will end up playing. Then we have a Cloud Midgar Mercenary, 2 white for a 2/1 human soldier mercenary, so the exact same types as Cloud. And when it enters, we search for an equipment card, reveal it and put it into our hand, then we shuffle. And as long as Cloud is equipped, if an ability of Cloud or an equipment attached to it triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. And even though it says Cloud, it will not trigger on our commander. It is basically short for this card. But again, card abilities will trigger twice if they are equipped to him. Yeah, that is also definitely one we will want to play. Then we have Ancient Adamantoise, 5 and 3 greens, so very expensive for an 8/20 turtle with vigilance and ward. Damage isn't removed from this creature during cleanup steps. all damage that would be dealt to you and other permanents you control is dealt to this creature. And when it dies, exile it and create 10 tapped treasure tokens. Yeah, very interesting abilities, but no synergy here. Then we have a black card that we obviously can't play. Then we have Sphere Grid for 1 and a green enchantment. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 count on that creature. And creatures you control with 1+1/+1 counters on them have reach and trample. I was actually thinking of not playing any enchantments in this deck, since we may end up with some artifact synergy, but we will be attacking a bunch. And this kind of forces people to block a bit, even if it's tokens attacking, since they will get bigger and will also get trample, which if we can put that on any of our bigger legendary creatures could be important. So yeah, definitely goes into the pile. And we have the Wind Crystal in a beautiful art version. 2 and 2 white for legendary artifact. White spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. If you would gain life, you gain twice that much life. And then we can pay 4 and 2 white to tap it. Creatures you control gain flying and lifelink until end of turn. I mean, our commander is white, so it will definitely trigger for him. And life gain may end up being a thing, we don't know yet, but definitely goes into the maybe pile. Then we have Summon Good King Morg, the 7th, 4 and a white for 4/4 Saga Moogle with flying and lifelink. Create 2 1/2 white Moogle creature tokens with lifelink, and then whenever you cast a non-creature spell this turn, create a token that's a copy of a non-Saga token you control. So it's very likely going to be the Moogles you created that you will copy. And then the end step is the final ability is put 2 +1/+1 counters on each other Moogle you control. I think I like it, but I don't think we are going to care about Moogles, and I'm not sure we are going to have non-Saga tokens or even Saga tokens reliably available for this ability. So yeah, that goes into the no thank you pile for now. Then we have Summon Margus Sisters 4 and a green for 5/5 Saga Fairy. Choose one at random, and we can get 3 +1/+1 counters. We can add a shield counter and gain life, and this creature fights up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. The last one is probably the least interesting one, but it does have haste, so we will actually get to attack with it twice. And a bit of counters can be nice. I'm going to put it in the maybe pile. I mean, this would also bring Cloud to the important 7, which is interesting. Then we have Yombo Cactuar, 5 and 2 green for 1/7 creature plant. And whenever this creature attacks, it gets plus a lot and +0 until end of turn. So there's a bit of a meme, but if we have anything that can make it evasive, potentially some of that equipment, and it also provides like a must-kill target. I mean, if we give it a counter compared with the Sphere Grid from earlier, it would get trample, which would instantly kill somebody. So I think it's good enough to go into the maybe pile. Then we have Knight of Sandoria, 1 and 2 white for Human Soldier Ranger. So 2 types matches Cloud. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a creature card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Sacrifice this creature. Your opponent can cast non-creature spells this turn. So that can be nice if we get it out ahead of cloud as an example. We can kind of activate it to ensure that they can't counter him when he comes down, so that we will get to attack with him once. And we get to search for something, for a creature with mana value 1 or less, which we may or may not end up having. Yeah, a nice one. Maybe power. We have another copy of the Buster Sword, which we obviously can't play. So there's wrong colors. Then we have Farewell, 4 and 2 white, and choose one or more. Exile all artifacts, or all creatures, and or all enchantments, and or all graveyards. This is such a mean card, but also very powerful, and should probably have a board wiper too, so let's put it in there for now. Then we have Everybody Lives, 1 and a white for an instant. All creatures gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Players gain hexproof until end of turn. Players can't lose life this turn, and players can't lose the game or win the game this turn. So the thing is, it's all creatures, not only ours. So if a board wipe comes, we probably want to play it, but it will also help our opponents potentially quite a bit if they're already ahead. So I'm unsure of the circumstances where we want to cast it. On the other hand, it is cheap. Yeah, I don't think we will be using that. Wrong colors. Then we have Virtue of Loyalty. The adventure, 1 and a white, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. So gives us something we can attach our equipment to. And then 3 and 2 white. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Untap those creatures. So again, like with the sphere grid, everything has counters. Everything all of a sudden has trample. It has a cheaper ability if we draw it early, just to get something out there. So yeah, nice one. Goes into the maybe pile. Wrong colors. We have land tax. 1 white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you may search your library for up to 3 basic land cards. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. It is very cheap. It prevents somebody from running away. It kinda fixes our land draw if we don't have it, if we weren't lucky. We don't really care about landfall, but of course we always care about land. If we get it early, it can be super valuable. If we get it late, it won't really matter. And I don't think we'll care about enchantments. I like it, but it's off theme. Then we have this nice, it's a bit hard to see, but confetti foil, Karmic Justice, 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever a spell or ability an opponent controls destroys a non-creature permanent you control, you may destroy target permanent that opponent controls. It won't protect our commander, but we're going to have ideally a lot of artifacts, a lot of equipment in play. And this kind of means that if they remove any of it, then we get to hurt them right back, which I actually kind of like. Plus, it's a beautiful confetti foil, so let's put it in a maybe pile. Blood Moon is not relevant for this deck. Repercussion, 1 and 2 red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature is dealt damage, Repercussion deals that much damage to that creature's controller. So this can not only hurt our opponents, this can also hurt ourselves. And I don't think we will really be juggling that mechanic. As an example, I don't think we'll be having something that gives us life when we are dealt damage or similar. So yeah, bit off theme. Then we have there and back again for 3 and 2 red for an enchantment Saga. First ability, up to 1 target creature can't block for as long as you control there and back again. The ring tempts you, so there we have the ring temps again, and we will control it for 2 turns. So that could be meaningful. And then on the second one, we search our library for a mountain card that we put on the battlefield and shuffle. And then the last ability creates Smaug, a legendary 6/6 red dragon creature token with flying and haste. And whenever this creature dies, create 14 treasure tokens. So potentially an insane amount of ramp, but also it does take 5 mana to cast, and then, so let's say we get it down on turn 5, this will not trigger until turn 8, but it will also leave a creature behind at that point in time. It's definitely a fun card, but again, I don't really think it fits the theme. Oh, then we have a more beautiful version of Sting. So let's definitely add that. Then we can always remove the other one. Wrong colors. Forge anew. 2 white for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as it's your turn, you may activate equip abilities anytime you could cast an instant. So that's super nice. Can really mess with your opponents, get them thinking, and then you may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equip ability you activate during each of your turns. So basically, on all turns, we get to equip something for free, and we can do it at instant speed, and we get to return an equipment from our graveyard. So very on theme, love it. Then we have a Glamdring for 2 colorless legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature has first strike and gets +1/+0 for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to that damage without paying its mana cost. I'm not sure that we are going to really care about instant and sorceries, but first strike on its own can be nice. We do care about equipment. Let's put it in the maybe pile. Then we have a classic here, Blasphemous Act 8 and 1 red. And for sorcery, this spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. So basically it can end up being a free board wipe, which is of course always good. And I can see a chance that we will actually have a creature that's bigger or has indestructible. So definitely in the maybe pile. Songbird's Blessing, 3 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an aura card. You may put that card onto the battlefield. If you don't put it into a hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So far we haven't picked a single aura to play, so goes in the no pile. Wrong color. The Earth Crystal. 2 and 2 white for legendary artifact. Green spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Nice. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, twice that many +1/+1 counters are put on that creature instead. And you can tap it and pay 4 and 2 green to distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures you control. We may end up caring about counters, and we are definitely going to cast green stuff. So yeah, maybe pile it is. Then we have wrong color. Summon Brynhildia. 1 and a red for a 2/1 Saga Knight. And first chapter, exile the top card of your library. During any turn you put a lore counter on this saga, you may play that card. So basically we will have 3 turns to play it. And then when you next cast a creature spell this turn, it gains haste until end of turn. So it replaces itself since we get a card to play. And we may end up caring about haste and or knights. So maybe power. Light maybe power, but let's do it. Wrong colors. Then we have Joshua, Phoenix, dominant, 1 red and white for 3/4. Human noble wizard. When it enters, discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. And then we can pay 3 red and a white and tap it to exile it and return it to the battlefield transformed. And on the back side, transforms into a Saga Phoenix with flying and lifelink and a 4/4. It will deal 2 damage to each opponent on the first 2 chapters, and then return any number of target creature cards with total mana value 6 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then it gets exiled and it goes back to the front side. It's not really, I mean, a bit of card draw is always nice, but on the other hand, there's no real other synergy in this one. It certainly can't return Cloud, not our commander Cloud. It could return the other Cloud though, which would then search for an equipment. Let's put it in the maybe pile. Wrong colors. Jumbo Cactua we already picked. We have a Realm Reborn, 4 and 2 green for an enchantment. Other permanents you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Quite expensive, but also very rampy. But I do not think we will need that for this deck. Then we have Tifa Lockhart, 1 and a green for 1/2 human monk with trample, and whenever a land you control enters, double Tifa Lockhart's power until end of turn. Yeah, the landfall ability could be interesting, especially, let's say there's an equipment on it that already makes it a 4/2, then all of a sudden it would be an 8/2, and it will have trample, so it will deal a good amount of damage, which can matter depending on the equipment. I think this goes into maybe power. Wrong colors. Then we have Falsy Paradise, 1 green for an enchantment at the beginning of each of your main phases. If you haven't added mana with this ability this turn, you may add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of islands target opponent controls. So, are we likely to play somebody with islands? Yes. But also in Commander, there's going to be so many dual lands. And I'm not sure we need that chance of a ramp, and we don't care about equipment, so I won't add that. Oh, another Cactua. Then we have Kefka, who are wrong colors. Alright, so this is starting to look promising. We now have these 2 stacks of cards in the maybe pile, so it's building up quite quickly with a lot of interesting stuff. But in order to not make this video insanely long, I think I will cut it off here, and then we will pick more cards in the next video. See you then.